Welcome into K-StateOnline. I am Mason Voth. That is Drew Galloway. It is Wednesday, August 13th. We're this close to the season. Would I have liked to have avoided recording today? Yes, but that feels wrong to do. So once again, we are in a big stadium pulse situation, Drew, because we've got road game for me I'm going solo help today too on it. It's not, last time I was at my parents' house, it was like, my mom's going to be able to watch the girls. No, not today. She's out frolicking about by the pool. I'm inside. I've got visual of both girls and my 16-year-old dog, and we're just going to hope for the best because we're not secluded. We're not in this, whatever. But we're going to be good. And we're going to have a fun show today because I actually think both of the topics today for off-season conversation are kind of some of the best that we can have. We're going to talk about a high-level quarterback that K-State is in the mix for, and it's more than in the mix for. It's seriously in the running for. And then we also get to talk about some really exciting breaking news for the Big 12 today. I'll give you your pick, Drew. Where would you like to start?
We'll start with the Big 12 news because I think that you're like really jazzed up for this.
I am for some reason. I don't know. It probably won't even make that big of a deal. But to me, like, I'm excited for it. It's a nice advancement for the Big 12. And if you're wondering, okay, what is this? What are you talking about? The Big 12 has announced that they are going to make availability reports mandatory starting this season for football and men's and women's basketball throughout the conference. So teams are going to have to provide those player designations and injury updates that have been commonplace in the NFL and NBA for, years upon years now at this stage of the game. So what that looks like, this is word for word what the Big 12 said on the matter today. Beginning with the 25-26 season, the Big 12 Conference will publicly provide player availability reports for all conference games in football, men's basketball, and women's basketball approved by all member institutions. The policy will include updates in the days leading up to each game, as well as a final report 90 minutes prior to kickoff or tip-off. Football programs will be required to submit daily reports beginning 3 days before each game. Men's and women's basketball teams will update their availability reports the night before each contest. All reports will be housed exclusively at Big12Sports.com. For football, student athletes must be designated as available, probable, questionable, doubtful, or out. Basketball designations will include available, game time decision, or out. So those are what you have to look forward to this year. Bill Snyder would have hated this thing.
Everybody would have been listed as questionable, I think, in the Snyder.
Chris Kleiman in 2022 with Adrian Martinez and Will Howard just waiting there. Who's going to start the Oklahoma State game? What's this going to look like? Probably wouldn't have liked it. All of these things now are going to become, things that we have answers to or somewhat have answers to, because then you ask yourself, okay, how much are you actually going to be able to distinguish between, this guy's probable, this guy's doubtful, but the doubtful guy plays, the probable guy? Like, is there going to be any penalty for it? Does it actually matter? I don't know. But I just think it's kind of a nice thing for the Big 12 to provide. And I understand that these coaches still want to live in the Stone Age, but I get why a lot of people are going to say this is because of the gambling aspect that is involved in sports now to some extent. But in reality, to me, it's just, this is another one of those pieces where the game and landscape in which we sit in today has changed drastically to where you go back 40 years ago, more than that, this stuff doesn't matter who's playing on the other side because college sports hadn't been built up into what it is now. But these are legitimate leagues that you have going on. And so it's for entertainment purposes, and you want people to be able to have the insight to know, hey, this is what it's going to look like. I just like every aspect of this. I don't see any downside to it. Boo-hoo if you're the coaches or these staffs. Like, this is the thing that I will always go back to. These programs are not your programs. They are our programs. They are the fans. They are the alumni. You are just the ones that have been entrusted to lead these programs. So if it benefits the masses, then that's what's good for the sport, not what specifically what you think is good for your team or anything of that nature.
No, I think that it makes a lot of sense for the Big 12 to do it. I believe the Big 10 and SEC both did this last year for the first time. One of those things that it never made sense to me why everybody was so, oh, you gotta say like he's going to play or not play, and then they end up like not playing. Like I like having the transparency of like knowing at least somewhat what's going to happen and who's going to be suited up, because there's no reason I think to really kind of go about this and like fudge it to different teams, because I think that there are times where like it's pretty obvious somebody's not going to be playing. And then there's times where I think it's pretty obvious that somebody's going to be playing. Like I think back to when Skylar Thompson started against Oklahoma in 2021 and how that was like a surprise to some. But like it was pretty obvious from the get-go that if it wasn't a season-ending injury, he was probably going to give it a go when Oklahoma came to Manhattan. So like there are times
because Skylar Thompson owns Oklahoma.
Exactly. So like there are times where I think that like it's better to just kind of be more transparent and honest. I'm assuming because one of the things is you have to mark somebody as available. Is every single player on the roster going to be put on this?
So my guess would be is that it does seem like you have to mark everybody the way that it was worded. My guess would be is that if you're listed as available on Wednesday, then they're not going to put you on the report, or for the rest of the week you won't show up on it. That would only change if, somebody starts as doubtful or something on Wednesday, and then by Friday you say they're available, they're going to play, something like that.
Yeah, because to me, if you have available and probable, to me that means the same thing. So that I think
it's
I think that probably means that everybody will, at least like you said, be listed on the initial one, because available and probable I think are the same thing.
I mean, logistically speaking, for like basketball, it makes sense if you just go ahead and you say, hey, so-and-so is going to be available, and you list them all. It gets a little tricky for football if you're just like, here's 85 guys, 76 of them are available. Might make it a little bit tougher.
What is fascinating to me, and I wonder, and part of being week 0, and now you have this week 0 as a conference game, because remember, this is just going to be conference only, which is another fascinating part of this. K-State and Iowa State get to be the first teams to really do this. So that will be interesting to follow. And I wonder, and this is another just kind of thing that I'm spitballing a little bit, because we know as much as this as like everybody else does, because the email that the Big 12 sent, I think, was kind of intentionally vague, and teams can go about this as they want. Do you think that if somebody suffers a season-ending injury, do you think it will say out for season, or do you think that for every single game they will just be listed as out?
I'm not sure. I would guess that for every game they're just listed as out, solely from the standpoint of like, I don't know. The coaches will confirm, when a guy's lost for the season. Chris Kleiman's been pretty forthright with just saying, yeah, we're not going to have him the rest of the year or something along those lines. So I bet you have to list them as out every time. I don't think that there's going to be like a special designation to just say out for the season or something, but we'll see. For reference, this is what the SEC availability report looked like for the SEC championship game last year between Georgia and Texas. Georgia only had 3 players listed on it. A defensive lineman that was listed as out, and then 2 players listed as game time decisions. Texas had 4 players listed as out, and then Kelvin Banks was a game time decision. So that's how they did it. They didn't put on their reports, oh, here's everybody that's available.
Another just kind of thing that I thought of, kind of with this and all of this, it kind of piggybacks on now everybody doing this injury report. How long do you think it takes until it is fully the NFL integration of we know what every single player's injury is?
That's where it's going to get really interesting, is like
over under 3 years before that gets put into place.
I'm going to say over, just because I would imagine that, because this seems like it was agreed upon by all of the Big 12 coaches and stuff. And my guess would be that they, in order to agree upon it, were like, yeah, but we don't want to have to give that it's this guy's right elbow or something. I don't know. I think it should get to that point, but I don't know how far or how close we are to that actually happening. Also, for reference, this is kind of how SEC basketball availability updates worked out. Old friend Darion Reed, old brief friend, he was listed as questionable. That was his initial status. Then they listed it for the game day update as a game time decision. In that same right, Mark Mitchell, interestingly enough, initially was listed as available for Missouri's matchup with Florida in the SEC tournament. And then on game day, it was changed to a game time decision. So I don't think that the available guys get listed unless there was, something previously.
Which is how it should be, especially football wise.
Yeah,
Whoever
but you
is
still, I think these coaches still have to make it known this person's available. That way, they have record of it,
yeah,
so they can have the update like that. That doesn't ultimately matter. Like,
no.
people probably don't
But
care. Yeah, I don't need to see 77 names listed as available, but yeah.
that makes more sense just from the standpoint of, I imagine this is probably another like SID thing that they have to type out. Like it makes
Oh
more
yeah.
sense that for them, just to save some time, that you only have to list the available players once.
It would be, well, and I bet they can check them or something in like a database. It would be funny though if it's just every day you have to 85-man football roster. You have to hand type it and just okay, and it's got to be formatted like this: Avery Johnson parentheses available, Dylan Edwards parentheses available. It's like, this feels like a waste of time.
That fascinating again. Just it would have been crazy. I know that they had this plan in place for a long time and then just announced it today. Would have been pretty funny though if like next week we just got a whole report without the Big 12 saying
That would be
anything.
insane. Now, there are people be going like, "Were we supposed to get this? Was this an accident?" But I'm glad we're going to have it. It's a good step into the current era for the Big 12. Another step for K-State into a new era may be coming closer and closer to fruition, because we haven't had as many recruiting updates lately because it's just not that time of year for it. But one recruit that is starting to gain some serious traction at this time of the year, where it's looking like the smoke is legit for K-State. You've talked about him some, but now it's getting even deeper into the process. Our Greg Smith, one of the national reporters at Rivals, has talked a lot about Braylon Warren, a four-star quarterback out of Omaha in the 2027 class. He had an update with Braylon Warren last week. Today, he had one of his running stories where he calls his shot on where he thinks some of the top uncommitted prospects and classes will end up. And he had Braylon Warren, the four-star out of Westside High, calling a shot to K-State among Iowa State and Missouri and some others that are in the mix there. So, Drew, what do you know about Braylon Warren to get all the Cats fans hyped up?
Yeah, this is a very interesting recruitment. Number one, because 2027 signing day feels so far away. But you're going to see more and more 2027 targets emerge throughout the fall and then into the winter and spring. And obviously then it's like their time. But Braylon Warren has been on my radar for a while now. Kind of didn't seem like super significant at the time because he ended up leaving for the Dallas Cowboys. But Braylon Warren and Connor Riley, their families are pretty close, and Connor Riley got a lot of the ball rolling for K-State before he ended up leaving for the Cowboys. And I think that he's even still been talking to Warren kind of again, just it is something that's good to have in K-State's back pocket here. Warren can make all the throws off platform. His dad, Steve Warren, that is the guy that you kind of see that's associated with Warren Passing Academy. That's his dad. NFL background.
Wonder why his kid might be a good quarterback.
Yeah, weird that his kid would also be a good quarterback after that. Right now, I think that K-State is in the driver's seat because they've just done so much behind the scenes working on getting everything set up with him. What I'm interested in is when he ends up taking a visit to K-State. He has already camped at K-State and did actually 2 summers ago before he got offered this past winter. But right now, he doesn't have any fall visits scheduled, but I would imagine that gets changed pretty quickly. K-State's going to receive a visit. I don't think that you'd see fireworks right after a visit with Warren, but I think that it makes sense for K-State to really be swinging for the fences in this 2027 quarterback class because, you know, you're going to have Avery Johnson come off the books. You're going to have a lot more, I think, NIL money to play with in the 2027 class than you saw in this 26 class, where I think of the 26 class so far, it is still off to a solid start. But you also have kind of the hinges on it are like you have another year potentially of Avery Johnson. You have potentially another year of Jace Brown, potentially another year of guys like Dylan Edwards and Joe Jackson, and on and on and on and on and on. Because this season is kind of more about retention and using what they already had and then supplementing guys in the high school ranks and even coming in with transfers that weren't super highly sought after, like Jerron Tibbs, who end up potentially being a huge contributor. The 2027 high school class, I think you're going to see a lot more high-profile players involved because I think that K-State, to be completely frank with everybody, is just going to have more money to play with.
Yeah, and that's just like that's how the era of college football where it is going to work now is that you're going to have years where it's like the money is going to be used in-house. It is to make ourselves better here. It goes back to the longstanding point and argument that I've made about college basketball rosters aren't about retention. It's about just making sure you have the right guys. So teams that have the right guys, they are going to use the NIL money to retain, and then they can use whatever's left to go out and get the final pieces that they need and hope that they work out. In college football, it's even more about using it to keep your own guys. There are more players on the team. You're more likely to be able to have guys for at least a year to develop them and kind of get them acclimated to your system and then put them out there. And so, yeah, you're looking at it right now. If you're K-State, you know for certain, obviously 2025, you've got a lot that's going to need to be committed to this roster in terms of NIL resources. There's a somewhat of a decent chance that you need to be preparing that for 2026 because, you know, if Avery Johnson's not a surefire first 3-round pick after this year, then you know, he should probably come back to school, and you would want to be in a position where you make sure that you got the first 3 years of Avery Johnson. You certainly would want the fourth of him if you're K-State, and Avery Johnson would probably want the 4th year of Jace Brown by his side. He would probably want the 4th year of Dylan Edwards by his side, and we think Joe Jackson's going to be good, and Jerron Tibbs has eligibility left.
You would also assume that, like, if Avery is like, screw it, like I'm coming back, you would assume a lot of these guys would want to come back.
Yeah, exactly. And so then you look beyond that and you say, okay, so if we're talking 2027, which would be Warren's freshman year, that's even 26. If there's open competition in 26 or 27 or both, that doesn't scare off somebody like this. And they're not resources that you have to fully devote to yet, because the guys competing for the starting job, whenever it is that Avery Johnson's not here, if it's next year or the year after that, it's going to be unproven guys like that are trying to get themselves into the payday. Like, we all think that Blake Barnett and Dylan Duff are really good quarterbacks, that they are going to have a chance to be really good at K-State. But they were middle of the road recruits. Like, they didn't have the high profile recruitment and situation that Avery Johnson's drove, or that Lincoln Cures drove, or that Dylan Edwards drove. So those are guys that are more on, they talk prove it deals and all these other sports. The 3-star commit and all that stuff, they're essentially on prove it deals until they get out onto the field. And so you're in a position then where 2027, you're going to have a lot of guys on this year's team that could come back next year. They're going to be gone. You have to focus your resources on kind of rebuilding this roster. And so you're going to be able to devote a higher chunk to the quarterback you recruit in that season, as opposed to right now, where we still think K-State's ended up with good commitments. And Miles Teodecki this year seems to be a strong quarterback. We talked Dylan Duff the year before that, but they're obviously, in terms of where they're thought of in the recruiting space, not of the caliber of Avery Johnson or some others. And you can see it with Arizona State too. Like, Arizona State is doing a good job with you can see, okay, here's the plan of quarterback. It's a little bit higher than what they're doing right now once Sam Leavitt would be out of his eligibility. So
Yeah,
that's just how it operates.
Arizona State is tracking and kind of doing the same thing that K-State's doing, where they're trending for a 2027 highly rated quarterback, because Sam Leavitt's probably coming off the books, but before then. So like you really see this all kind of playing out with these teams as like, this is X amount of money that we have right now. When can we really use a lot of that for like high school and transfer recruiting instead of retention? Also just fascinating, because it's going to be like this no matter if the 27 quarterback is Braylon Warren or somebody else.
Yeah.
That next quarterback that comes into K-State after Avery Johnson, that will be the first like true quarterback battle at K-State in a long, long, long time.
Yeah, K-State's been kind of fortunate to just be able to hand it off the last however many times that you've needed transition quarterbacks. And I mean, I guess even 2022, it wasn't really a battle. It was, Will Howard, you're not good enough to be our starting quarterback right now. This is Adrian Martinez's job. But then they lucked out to where he got it figured out. I want to make one note here on the Warren update that Greg Smith had last week. And it was talking about him finalizing his plans for visits in the fall. The quote was, "We haven't 100% finalized the schedule, but we are for sure going to Kansas State. We will go to Mizzou at home versus Kansas, Wisconsin at home versus Iowa too, and other options I am looking at are Florida State and Iowa." He went on to say that, "I just like the coaching staff in the K-State program a lot. They are a really good program in my opinion, and I would like to check it out some more." So you could tell in the update, even from last week, that Greg had the affinity from Braylon Warren for K-State is there. And I think like that's a pretty refreshing thing to hear in this era of the Power 2 and NIL and all this other stuff, where it doesn't mean that K-State is going to land Braylon Warren. It looks good right now, but it doesn't mean.
Yeah.
But even then, you look at it and you say, to still be able to find guys like that and of this caliber of talent, because I mean he's a top 250 guy. He's one of the best players in the state of Nebraska, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Currently number 212 in the country, 18 of quarterbacks, and number 2 in Nebraska for the class of 2027. Like this is a big deal, and so I think it's good for people to just see that you can still get a player of that caliber to have those values and that approach to his recruitment in 2025 and beyond.
Yeah, and then I think it helps just who his dad is. Goes a long way. Been there, done that. And I mean, if you're really reading between the lines, reading Greg Smith's update from last week with Warren, kind of seems like it's going to be K-State versus Missouri, at least for right now. So it's definitely one to really monitor, and I will be very interested in when he ends up in Manhattan for a visit.
Yeah, should be fun to follow. It's always exciting when there's a high profile quarterback in the recruiting space. And K-State looks like 2027 is going to be the next time that they get in the mix for that. Okay, do you have time? Do you want to play around a Beat the Media guide today?
Well, I was about to ask if you had time, since you're the one that's in a road game.
I got nothing but time. It's just a matter of if it's going to be a bother to people. I'll see. Let's do another team category today. I'm going to have you try to give me the K-State seasons. Oh, well, hang on just a second. Those are just rushing records. We don't. I know we talk about offense a lot on this show, but really, if there was an offensive side that was like defense, it would be running the football. So we're gonna just slide on past that. Let's get to what the people actually care about in passing. I was gonna try to look for just total offense. Here we go. Okay. That's not as fun. It's a top 5, but I want you to give it to me, Drew.
Okay.
We can do more based off of how easy I think that this might be. Let me get the music going. All right. Do the graphic. Your first question today for Beat the Media Guide. Name me the top 5 seasons for offensive touchdowns in K-State football history.
Okay. Well, I mean, 1998 is probably up there.
That is correct. That is number 3 on the list. 65 touchdowns in 1998.
Then I would take a stab and say that 2012 is probably up there as well.
That is your first red X of the day. 2012 is not on there.
I figured, because 2012, a rare year that K-State actually kind of beat the crap out of everybody.
Yeah. Defense had a lot to do that. I mean, think of how many pick sixes Nigel Malone had, or Jarrell Childs falling on the ball in the end zone.
So this is just like straight up offensive touchdowns.
Straight offensive touchdowns. Yep.
Okay, that helps a little bit.
Come on, we're not talking defense here.
We're gonna go 1997.
1997, not on here either. Only 2 guesses left and just 1 point on the board.
Oh, that is also crazy to me, because that was another year that K-State was like one of the top offenses in the country and points per game.
Wasn't that a part of the stretch where they were like top 10 defense for like 6-7 years straight?
Probably.
So the defense was still, I think, better than the offenses even in those seasons.
What about 99?
Boy, you gotta get out of the 90s here. No, 1999 is not on here. So you only have 1 guess left and just 1 single point on the board. I'm surprised a little bit here.
Because this is sneakily hard, because I've picked out years that like K-State has been in like the top 10 nationally in points per game.
Mm-hmm.
What about 02?
There you go. That's a good guess. Number 2 all time, 67 touchdowns in 2002. The ones you didn't get, number 1 all time, 2003, 73 touchdowns in 2003. Number 5 was 2000 with 61. And I don't think anybody would have guessed this. Maybe Scott Wildcat, because of, he loves the last 2 years of K-State football. 2023, 62 touchdowns. That's 4th all time. I would have never had a shot at that one. I'm going to give you like some grace, just guessing a bunch of the late 90s, early 2000s Snyder seasons. Like, you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah,
but 2023.
I just looked at the 99 stats. K-State was 3rd in points per game that season. but doesn't make that list. That's crazy.
That is pretty nuts. All right, let's give you one more here.
I like another team category if you can find another one.
Okay, I can find another team one for you. Let's see. Do you want to try and do most offensive plays in a season?
I
that
mean,
one, that one might be a little too crazy. Let me find another one for you here. Well, this is timely, so let's do top 10 in yards per play in K-State history.
Okay. I think that I know the number one on this list. It is the number one last year.
It is last year, 6.57 yards per play.
I'm gonna take a stab and say that 2023 might be on this as well.
Actually, 2023 is not on this list.
Okay. Yards per play is also tough because like you're also thinking about like sometimes you just needed like to pop a big play.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, some of these you weren't not like you were a great offense, but when you did do offensive things, it was for significant yardage.
22 would also make some sense that it would be on here.
2022 is on here, 10th all time, 6.12.
I keep going back to this. Well, we'll go 2002.
2002 is on here, 5th all time, 6.26.
Is there one just as easy as 98?
That's a good guess. 2nd all time, 6.47.
Offense in this era was disgusting. So like it's hard to like think that they would still have that many yards per play.
Well, and that's why this list, some people initially would be shocked, but if you thought through it and you were a ball knower, you'd start to get a little bit of an idea. Oh, actually, think of how many times I saw the first 2 plays of a set of downs be a 70-yard incompletion in the 90s.
I mean, that does make some sense. So if 02 is on here, it is 2003.
Good guess. It is 6th all time, 6.25 yards per play. Also of note for you in this, that is the season with the most offensive plays ever ran in K-State history. Only season to go above 1,000 offensive plays.
That's crazy.
It's 100 plays clear of second place, which is 2023.
Wow, 2023 also inflated, by the way, by that Iowa State game when they ran like 103 plays in the snow.
You would also be excited to hear that is the number one game all time in terms of plays ran at K-State with 102.
Okay, now we're thinking.
And by the way, Drew, that is the only game post 2000 to appear on the top 10 of offensive plays in a single game at K-State.
Wow. This was on the last list of 2,000 yards per play as well.
No, it is not on there. So I will tell you this, you have exhausted all of your early Snyder 1.0 usages.
Okay. Is there, I feel like there's one that's pre-Bill Snyder, is there?
There is not, no.
Ooh, okay. So we're gonna go 2012 because that's always a safe one.
Yep, that is 7th all time, 6.2 yards per play.
I
mean, do you think that Fan is listening to this episode and just like going crazy with how excited he is that we're talking yards per play?
Fan definitely would get all 10 of these. Like that's the craziest part.
Well, I was looking at my spreadsheets last night before bed, and I know for a fact that 2024 is number one.
For some reason, I knew like right away that 24 was number one.
Well, that was that. I mean, that's the thing that the Connor Riley boys like to bring up. Like, oh, well, the offense was actually pretty good last year. When you look at it, it's like, well, yeah, when you look at the numbers, but I also looked at it with my two own eyeballs. Over the course of 4 losses, that probably shouldn't have happened. But whatever.
We're about to talk about this season. Is 2011 on this?
Ooh, no 2011.
Ooh,
come on. You think the team that could barely score against Eastern Kentucky was an offensive dynamo?
Well, they were in certain games in 2011. And then the other one that I thought of, running game might have held it back on here, but 2014.
2014 is on here, 6.15, 8th all time. I think you've maybe used your 10 guesses. I don't have my normal paper here for me to keep track of everything. Ones that I believe you did not get. 2021 is 4th all time. The season that got Courtney Messingham fired is 4th all time in yards per play at K-State.
Crazy.
The only problem is they ran just 748 plays of offense that season.
Would make sense.
Total yardage was 4,700 yards that year. Then also 2017 is on here, number 9 all time, 6.14. That was the team that won the Cactus Bowl against UCLA and couldn't decide after Jesse Ertz's injury who was going to play quarterback. So there you go.
There's one more.
2013 is 3rd all time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
2013 never even thought about because of the quarterback situation.
Yeah. Well, but that was a dynamic team when the ball did move.
2013 and 2021, 2 seasons I never thought about one.
Yeah, that's why yards per play can kind of be interesting. What do you got going? You want another one? Hattie has fallen asleep, so I'm not as stressed out anymore.
We can go another quick one.
Okay, all right. What do you got going on here tonight? Gee, you got to go to a Braves game or something?
No, yeah, I could have stuff going on.
Let's see. Let's find a player one. I'm trying to make sure that I get a decent one here for you, but that can be a little tricky sometimes.
I'm still in shock that 2021 was 4th all time in yards per play.
I know. What a time to be alive. Okay, here we go. This will be a fun one for you. This should go quick. It's a list of 10, but they're all names that you know about. So I need you to give me the top 10 for touchdowns responsible for in K-State football for a single season.
Okay. First question, are there duplicates?
There are duplicates.
Colin Klein.
He is number 1 and number 2 all time. 40 in 2011 and 39 in 2012.
That's why I had to ask if there was duplicates.
Yeah, he is the only duplicate though.
Oh, that is actually kind of surprising.
Yeah.
Because I would have thought that at least one other guy would have been a duplicate.
Yeah, some of these guys though, they kind of played with some touchdown vultures on their team. Okay, so there you go. That is 2 off the board. You got 8 guesses left.
What about L. Roberson?
He is tied for 2nd all time. He accounted for 39 touchdowns in 2003.
Another one that I'm thinking about. Was that also the season that he was one of 800 people to throw for 24 touchdowns? L?
Maybe. Can't remember off the top of my head.
That would be a lot of rushing touchdowns by L. I'm going to say Jake Waters probably also.
That is a good guess. Jake Waters in 2014, 9th all time, 31 touchdowns accounted for.
Is this too obvious if I ask if everybody's a quarterback?
I mean, I would like to tell you that there was more than quarterbacks on here, but it is all quarterbacks.
Okay, that really helps me narrow down like
Here's
some
what
of
I
these
would like to
guesses.
know, though. Do we think there are like notable schools out there that their top 10 isn't just quarterbacks? Because like the thing at
Probably
K-State is
not.
if it wasn't for the fact that Bill Snyder was so heavy on quarterback run, especially some of these guys aren't like the most mobile, but he would still use it when you got down in the red zone and quarterback sneaks. Like K-State would be a school that you would think might be eligible to have some running backs in this list, but they're not. It's all quarterbacks.
Michael Bishop then is probably here as well.
Yeah, it's probably a good guess. Fourth all time, 1998, 37 touchdowns for Michael Bishop.
Another one that I've thought of, because now that I know that it's just quarterbacks, is there a Jesse Ertz season?
Ooh, no Jesse Ertz.
Ooh, I thought he would, because I know that he had a double-digit touchdown rushing season.
Yeah, not Jesse Ertz.
That's a killer as a Jesse.
I don't think his passing touchdowns. Let's see. Take a guess how many touchdowns Jesse Ertz threw for in 2016.
I'm gonna guess that it's like shockingly low if you're having me guess.
It is shockingly low. My dad, home from work, just got it right with his fingers. 9.
That's crazy. That he
had a 9-4 touchdown to interception ratio. K-State won 8 games that season.
That is wild to like think about.
He was within 700 yards of running for the amount of passing yards he had in 2016.
Okay. So now that really like affects where I want to go next. I don't love it. But is there a Skylar season?
No Skylar Thompson.
That was another one. I knew that he had a double-digit rushing touchdown season.
Yeah, but I think these quarterbacks weren't slinging it all over the place.
No, but it's not like you needed to sling it all over the place if you had double-digit touchdown runs.
Yeah, but 4 of them came in one game. Skylar, the season that you're thinking of, only accounted for 23 touchdowns. But that's because if you go and look at it, there were, let's see, 7 or 8 different players that had a rushing touchdown in 2019. James Gilbert had 6, Skylar had 11, Jordan Brown had 4, Harry Trotter with 3, Tyler Burns 2, Jacardier Wright 1, Joe Irvin 1, Josh Youngblood 1.
I think most shocking on that was that you said that Tyler Burns had 2.
Yeah, they get him 1 against KU. And let's see here.
Oh, I have another guess while you're doing that. Will Howard.
Yes, Will Howard is on there for his 2023 season. Tyler Burns had rushing touchdowns against KU and Nichols that season. By the way, 64 and 58 yards respectively on the ground in those games for Tyler Burns. So Chris Kleiman tried to make sure he made it worth his time for rejoining the football team. Will Howard, 7th all-time, 2023, 33 touchdowns.
Okay, that means that Avery's on this list too then, because Avery had 32.
That's great detective work, Mr. Galloway. Avery Johnson, 8th all-time, 2024 with 32.
Every once in a while, I remember like how many touchdowns Avery had. So when we've done this, I've been like, oh, okay. I have a crazy guess at some point if I'm like running out of bullets.
No, lay it on me. Give me the crazy one.
No, I'm not going to give it to you yet.
I won't count it against your total.
Nope, I'm still not going to say it yet. Jonathan Beasley just came to my mind.
Yep, Jonathan Beasley in the Cotton Bowl season, 2034 touchdowns. He's tied for 5th.
The crazy guess was the crazy guess
Cotton Bowl that I was at, by the way. I think we've talked about this. You and I were both youngins in the ice storm.
The crazy guess that I thought of was like Carl Straw.
Oh, okay, a little less crazy than Carl Straw. But you're sniffing being warm with Carl Straw for the last name on this list.
Okay.
You are missing. I think you just are missing 2 guesses. I think you've exhausted all of yours. I'll give you 2 more if you go quick though.
No, you could just lay them on me.
You forgot Josh Freeman, 34 touchdowns in 2008. And that's tied for 5th with Jonathan Beasley. And then Matt Miller was the crazy guess that I was hoping you were going to spit out. He accounted for 30 in 1995.
Carl Straw is like on a lot of these like lists randomly. So that was one that like I just thought of.
Yeah, real quick, just because it's right next to it on here, it doesn't give you like a top 5 or top 10, so it'll never be a category. Do you want to take a stab at the most plays for an individual in a single game at K-State is? This means combined rushes, pass attempts, receptions, and returns.
Okay, so this is like total plays that they like were involved in.
Mm-hmm.
Is this also a quarterback?
Yeah, all 3 are quarterbacks.
I think that Josh Freeman had a crazy game of like pass attempts.
Not him. The record is 67. It's been done 4 times by 3 guys. Colin Klein did it twice. 2012 at Baylor and 2011 at Oklahoma State. L. Roberson did it in the Fiesta Bowl against Ohio State in 04.
L did that in a game that he didn't play a half.
Yeah, I'm just telling you what's in front of me. There's insane to think about. And then Lynn Dickey, 67 at Colorado in 1969.
Lynn Dickey makes sense. Klein makes sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, we talked about it during the Mount Rushmores. Lynn Dickey, they were just running that guy into the ground. It's a miracle that he went on to have an NFL career based off of. Seems like K-State was just like, yeah, you're our only hope.
There is no way that L had that many like plays that he was involved in rushing or passing in one half of football. There's no way.
Let's see here. So he was 20 of 51 passing and he ran the ball 16 times.
How many times did they have the ball in the second half?
I think you're misremembering or not understanding what went down with L there, because he was the only quarterback to throw the ball in that game.
Oh yeah, was it? Yeah.
The shenanigans with the bowl stuff happened after the game.
Okay. Now it's making a lot more sense now in my brain.
Yeah. There's conspiracies about how he ended up in the Ring of Honor, but we don't need to get into those. That's not this show. We're trying to keep it light today. So I don't know if anybody wants to touch that. We will not be doing the 2004 Fiesta Bowl for KSO Classic.
By the way, had no idea. Sure. Again, just like looked at this game because we weren't that old, so we don't really remember a lot of it. Had no idea K-State was a favorite going into that game.
Wow, that's wild.
All
right. Well, didn't come. Well, when everybody just saw you beat the best team ever that dominantly, they probably just thought really good things were going to happen. All right, that'll do it for us today. Thanks for watching the KSO show. We are back again tomorrow. Me, Drew, and TY. We are all going to be here having a little bit of fun, looking at some different things. And then Friday, we got KSO Classic as Drew and I look back at the 2011 football season. So for Drew Galloway, I'm Mason Voth. Thanks for watching and listening to the KSO show. And get ready because we got a lot coming at you early next week as we get ready to head to Ireland.